My story begins with the prime location of my city, Constantinople, which is the jewel of the world. The Bosporus is the golden gate of my empire, a narrow throat of water where the currents of the Euxine Sea meet the Mediterranean, forcing the wealth of two continents, Asia and Europe, to pass beneath my watch. By fortifying this strait, I ensured that every silk from the east and every grain shipment from the north paid homage to Constantinople. No merchant ship from the Black Sea or the Aegean could pass without paying a heavy tax, essentially a license to trade within the Roman world. It is a geographical masterpiece where nature serves as a fortress, allowing me to command the veins of global commerce while the walls of Theodosius, the thick wall that surrounded the city, keep the heart of Rome beating in safety. This brilliant, unpenetrable setting is where I would hold power for 38 years. To understand my reign, one must understand that a throne is held together not just by gold, but by iron will and the grace of a powerful partner. My goal was one God, one empire, one law. Before Theodora and I became a power couple, I had to dismantle a centuries-old social barrier law dating back to Constantine. The Great strictly forbade men of senatorial rank from marrying actresses, as they were legally considered infames. Before I could place the crown upon her head, I had to rewrite the very definition of a Roman citizen. You see, Emperor Anastasius died childless and needed to pass on the succession. My uncle Emperor Justinian I, a Latin-speaking peasant from the Balkans, modern-day North Macedonia or Serbia, was illiterate. But he was the only candidate with military muscle to take the throne. While my emperor uncle only reigned for 9 years, he adopted me and made me his son, which meant I would be slated to reign next. My uncle, Justinian I, also issued an edict at my pleading to marry Theodora. Women who have been on the stage, but who have changed their mind, shall be entirely cleansed of all stain. By this imperial law, we erased her past to secure our future. I think he could see some of himself in Theodora, as he was not of royal blood, but rose through the ranks. By 527, Justin's health was declining. He was 70 years old, and in a rare move, he crowned me as co-emperor to ensure a seamless transfer of power. And this worked. There was no civil war or succession crisis. I had inherited a stabilized empire. The economy flourished during my reign due to the location of Constantinople and metox, or raw silk. The scarcity of raw silk was the empire's greatest economic vulnerability. Until the mid-6th century, the Persians controlled the flow of goods from China, creating a strategic monopoly that stunted Byzantine commerce. This was known as the Sasanian Silk Blockade. It wasn't just about luxury. It was a matter of national security that eventually drove me to authorize the most famous case of industrial smuggling in the ancient world. Monks were hired to steal worms, the Chinese secrets of silk. As Procopius wrote in the history of the wars, they took with them the eggs of these worms in a walking stick and succeeded in bringing them safely to Byzantium. Inside were thousands of tiny eggs stolen from the Far East. It was the greatest act of industrial espionage in history. My face, usually set in the stern lines you see on the gold solded as coins, actually broke into a smile. We were no longer just a trade center. We were a producer. But by the year 532, the city was screaming. What began as a dispute between the blue and green chariot factions at the Hippodrome turned into a sea of fire. The rioters shouted, "Nika! Victory!" As they torched the city, I confess, I was ready to flee. The ships were packed, and the sea offered a coward's escape. But Theodora stood firm. She looked at my cowering advisors and said that the royal purple makes the noblest shroud. Her courage shamed me into action. I stayed, and I sent the military commander Belisarius to the Hippodrome. By the time the sun set, the rebellion was crushed and 30,000 rioters lay dead. From those ashes, I began to build the city anew, starting with the magnificent Hagia Sophia, whose dome now serves as a beacon to all of Christendom. While I sat in the palace rewriting the laws of our ancestors, my last of the Romans, General Belisarius, was my reaching hand under my command. He crossed the Mediterranean to North Africa, scattering the Vandals. He also moved into Italy, reclaiming the eternal city of Rome from the Ostrogoths. Even when outnumbered 10-1, his tactical genius secured the borders. He did not just win battles, he restored the Roman dream. Every province he regained was another piece of the puzzle, returned to its rightful place.
As the empire expanded, the Justinian Code became our backbone. I believe that the imperial majesty should be armed with laws as well as glorified with arms, that there may be good government in times both of war and of peace. My codes were a 4-part legal compilation aimed at streamlining and codifying disorganized Roman laws, creating a systematic, Christian-influenced legal framework. My codes will serve as the foundation for modern civil law in Europe and beyond. Theodora's hand was in the ink of the codes as much as mine. Together, we ensured the law protected the vulnerable. We passed edicts so that women could own property and keep their dowries, ensuring a daughter of the empire had standing, regardless of her birth. Alas, all good stories must come to an end, as did mine. The year 541 brought a darkness that not even the thick walls of my fortress city could repel. As Procopius chronicled in History of the Wars, a pestilence by which the whole human race came near to being annihilated, swept through the gates of Constantinople. The restorer of Rome was not spared by the divine wrath. The plague struck me down with a swelling in the groin, leaving me a hollow shell of the man who once redrew the maps of the world. Though I eventually rose from my sickbed as a narrow survivor, I was a ruler of ghosts for the next 20 years, left to oversee a realm where the living were too few to bury the fallen. The plague thinned our ranks and emptied our fields. I was even forced to hold the survivors accountable for the taxes of the dead. It was a harsh necessity to keep the gears of the empire turning. I am Justinian. I have mended the map, secured a silk-producing empire, unified the law, and built the grand Hagia Sophia, a cathedral that touches the clouds. Under my command, Rome did not fall. It simply moved its heart to the east. And I am the one who kept it beating.